this session is the working with leads session. So we're gonna go through in a lot more detail just working with leads, which is, there's been a lot of major changes to this page. Some of them, I'd like to think that most of them are going to be things that you like. And if they aren't, let us know. We always are willing to make this what you want it to be. We're doing it for you guys. So we don't enjoy making things harder for you. That just makes it harder for us too. So we talked a little bit about this before, but we have these sections over here. You can scroll down through a lead and you can see that the sections, highlighted sections, are changing as we do that. We have some hidden ones in here. The reason why we hide some of them is because we're trying to make this page not so daunting. And these are things that maybe aren't as commonly used. I realize some of you use optional fields a lot, and maybe it's a pain to have that hidden. I'm hoping that what we can do is make it possible for you to be able to decide what sections you want hidden by default. And also, we've had a lot of talk about wanting this customer information higher up on the page. And so that's something that we're looking at, making it possible for you to switch these around and set your own order. I do want to encourage you in the meantime, and just in general, to look at these sections as if they're tabs. You can almost pretend that this isn't all on one page that you can scroll to stuff, and just say, okay, this is a tab, and when I need to get to my customer stuff, I click it, and when I need to get to my event stuff, I click it. And it'll make your life a lot simpler. I think even after if you learn that, it's going to be better than scrolling, no matter what, even if the sections are in the order that you want them to be in. At least that's what I've found as I've been working through the leads. Let's look here at the top, and we're going to kind of just go through in order for the most part, the different elements on this page and the ones that have changed quite a bit. Now you can see here, one of the big changes is the way we handle status. Status used to be something that you could deal with while you're viewing a lead. You didn't have to click the edit button. Well, we've gotten rid of edit buttons pretty much in all cases because we felt like it's just an extra click for you guys to do, and we didn't want to make you to do extra clicks. So the one difference though is the status button, when you clicked it, that was it. It saved that status. It was a done deal. Not the case these days. You have to still click the save button down here if you want to save the change that you made. Okay, so just be aware of that. We do also have, I believe, a save prompt. So when you make a change and you go to navigate away, you can have it alert you like, hey, do you want to save these changes? There are, I still think, some cases, and I think the status is one of them, where we had trouble detecting when it was changed and the save prompt was not catching it. I don't know if that's been fixed yet or not, but if it isn't, those are the sort of things that we do want to fix. So if you notice those, we will fix those because we want those working properly. One of the other reasons why this status was changed is because a lot of you have a lot of statuses, and we wanted to make that a little easier to navigate those. So if you have a ton of statuses, you're going to see like scroll bar, not a scroll bar, but like an arrow on either side, so you can kind of move around and see your other statuses. We're going to center it on the one that you have selected. Okay. If you're a multi-location account, what you're going to see is a section right here where you can actually choose the location. That's we put it at the top for a reason. Multi-location users, you should choose that section first. It's going to make your life easier as you go and work down through the lead, because a lot depends on what location you're dealing with at the time. So the next thing that I wanted to go through is the timeline. The timeline's been something that we've gotten a lot of feedback on as well. So we're still making adjustments to the timeline, but let me show you what it's like so far. In fact, there's some that are coming out in the next release, which should be in March, that are going to change the way this looks a little bit as well. The timeline, the purpose of it was kind of twofold. We wanted to give you a way to see all of your times in some sort of visual format, so you could kind of see where you might have made a mistake or how it kind of played out for the day. And so that was one of the big reasons why we went with a timeline sort of design. Now, in every case, these are not completely scaled to the right thing. They are representative. And the reason why I say that is because there's times when you have really, really big events, or maybe you're setting up 2 days ahead of time, and it's hard. If we were to scale them to the actual thing, some of these blocks would just disappear. And we've even seen that happen still, as much as we've tried not to let that happen. And so I think one of the things that we are going to be offering is an alternate sort of timeline view that you can choose. That's just not put together yet. So once that's available, we'll send that out. If you guys aren't on our, if you're not looking at our emails that we're sending, or you're not checking our releases in our knowledge base, or if you're not part of the Rental Pros group, those are the places that you're gonna see these things come out when we do a release. So if you come in here to announcements, here you go. Here's all of our releases that we've sent out from the beginning of time. And every time we do a release, we're gonna post this up here. We usually post it in Rental Pros as well. And then if you're in Rental Pros, you're going to see probably videos on different features across the course of time. So, if we're releasing, some major features, we're going to do a video every week, and they're going to show you those major features, how those work, and how you can use them for your company. So, just watch those things if you're looking for something to come out. We can't always send you directly an email or give you a call when we do something that we know you wanted. We try to do that, but we don't always get that done right. Anyway, with the timeline, you can simply click it and make the changes that you want to make. Type that, and I can say if I want to make that. I say actually I think the travel is going to be more like 2 hours. I can do that. Same thing here with the setup. Click it, and you can change that. We can also clear it. If we're not ready to put the setup on there, and it shows up down here, and we can just click here and add it back if we want. This has all of the different time elements that you might add to your schedule here. So they're all here available for you. One of the big changes that's going to be coming out in the next release will be that these, instead of under a drop down, they're going to be spread out across the bottom here, and they're going to disappear once you've clicked it. So once I've added my setup, the button's not going to show up here. I'm going to click up here to get to it. At that point, if I clear it, it'll then show up down here again. So I think that's going to be a helpful way for you to see, did I plan for these things yet? Have I added these different elements that I want to add, as opposed to stacking them like this? One of the things that we've noticed that is too difficult is this time picker, this date and time picker. Just so you know, if you're going to pick a date, this is a range, right? So we're picking a start and an end. So right now, I've only got the start chosen, so it wants me to pick an end. So if it's the same day, I just click it again. But there's just too many clicks down here for the time, so we're going to make a change to that. It's going to be much better. Trust me, we found some. We've got a great idea. So we're working on putting it together, and it might not be out till April, but it's going to make that control a lot easier for you. But that's how that works. These windows are going to be the same sort of thing. When you're doing a window, it's going to give you, it's going to be a range. So there we go. There's my window, and that's a range, and I can change that however I want. If for some reason there's an issue with that, it will give you that warning right there, and not let you do that. So I can't make it that late. If I make it too late, it's going to I won't be able to service the event in time. So with my setup, so makes sense. So that's kind of the timeline and how that works. One of the things that you're also going to start to see is we've started to differentiate on the delivery planner. If you may have given a window, I'm going to show up somewhere between 1:30 and 3 p.m. I can't tell you when, customer, but I'll be there. Once you schedule the delivery, we're actually going to put in, I think it's a red line. I don't remember exactly, but we're going to put a line in here somewhere that's going to show you where your actual scheduled time is. And we're going to adjust your timeline to fit that. So your window will still be visible, but it'll show you when you actually scheduled that to go out. So yes, it is a red line. Thank you, Cody. There's so much to remember anymore. I start to forget. The next major section here is the rental section. Okay. And let me go and open this as a new lead first. We'll take a look at it in that view. So if we're doing a new lead and we open it, we see that we start in a certain status. We give you a certain event block. None of the other blocks are added in yet. We also have opened up this selection window for rentals. Normally, when you're looking at a lead that has stuff on it, it's going to be collapsed. But here we're going to open it up because obviously you need to add stuff. We've done a lot of changes to this recently for people. So here's just a list of items. A lot of times when you're going to get an item, you're just going to need to search for it up here. So you start to type some words in, and there you go. You can find the item you're looking for. Now, we never before showed you the actual true availability number until you had added it to the lead. Now we are showing it to you ahead of time. So you have, this is not how many you have in your inventory. This is how many you have actually available for the date and time that's selected. And when you update this, it's going to fix these to show the proper amounts. When you click on an item, it's going to stay. This is not going to change. It was changing. It was going back to the default with no search. We leave it here now. We had some people that were trying to pick, maybe they would choose a category and they wanted to work through that category. So say they were doing concessions and they wanted to add a bunch of concessions, and it going backward was confusing. So we keep that information now and we leave it there. Even more useful, I think, is when, let's see if I can find an example in here. We have something with options. I'm trying to think of something in here that might have options in our demo account. And boy, I can't think of anything. Let's see. Probably concessions. We should have an option in concessions. So if I pick the popcorn machine, okay, so you can see that we go down into the option menu. So we no longer show them underneath, and then you mark which ones you want. This one immediately came in here because it was a required option, but other options are shown over here. And when we're, if we select it, excuse me, it's going to add it over. At any point, we can also delete it. At any point, if you want to go back, you just click that back arrow, and we're not going back to the, we're staying in that category, whatever you previously were set up as. So that's kind of nice. If you're on a lead and you want to get to that list, you just click the little list icon and it's going to show you all the options for that item. So this little list icon, it shows you that it has options that you can select for it. Okay. So that's kind of how the selection list works. You can search by both of these. So if you have a category that has a lot of stuff in it, I could type in something in the search as well as having a category set, and it's going to limit it down. You'll also notice that the first two things here are quick add. So if you're trying to add an item to here that you don't actually have in the system, it's something you don't use often, you can do that. And then we also have adding a new vendor item. So if you're going to subcontract something and you don't have that set up in the system as a vendor item, you can do that as well. So, all right. Let's see. So I'm going to go over here and show you a little bit with this rental list, and I'm going to do it through an existing lead because I think it'll just be a little easier to do. So let's have a look here. So here's an existing lead. And now any one of these, you can see we kind of try to shade these for you. So because this is an option, it has the same color, but otherwise we alternate gray and white so you can see how that works. Any one of these items I can click on and it's going to open up and it's going to give me more information and more things that I can do with that item. So here is a template area. So I'm sorry, a notes area, and this is something new. So if you want to add a certain note specific to this item for the customer and you want that to show in your template, you can do that. You do have to add a variable into your template to get that to show, but you can start putting notes in here. If you're only going to have that item available for a certain time, you can do a custom time, or you can say reset. I just want it to be the same as the event time. This is new as well. Now you can add volunteers and staff per item. We still have a global option down here. So we have volunteers and we have staff right here. If you edit that, you can change it here, because some of you probably will not want to set it per item on a per item basis, but some of you might want to. You might want to say, look, I'm providing staff, but it's for this specific item. You have to supply staff for the rest of it or volunteers for the rest of it. And that also can be shown on your template as you're doing, sending it out to the customer. So we show the electric on a per item basis, as well as a total down here. We have our maintenance option right here. If you need to add put this into maintenance, we have a button here that you can actually go directly to the item. I'm not going to do it. And we can then edit the item, specifically this popcorn machine. As far as moving things around, we don't have a way to click and drag yet. Instead, we have these arrows, so you can move it down one, or I can move it all the way to the bottom or all the way to the top. So that's how you move items around on the lead right now. So we're hoping we can add click and drag at some point later. This is new as well. So we show availability here. We always had the quantity, but now you can add a discount on a line item. So you can say, I want a $20 discount on this. And so you can type it in. We'll put the negative in for you if you don't. And then this will actually be something that you can, like if for some reason you have some items that are taxed and not, you might want to be putting the discount on the line item. If you did it as a global discount and then the customer decided not to take that item, they may still try to expect that global discount. Well, if you put the discount on the item and they decide not to use it, then obviously they shouldn't expect that discount anymore because that was specific to that item. So those are some options that you have now that you weren't able to do before. Also, the taxable stuff. We did not allow you to choose taxability, I don't believe, on a per item basis. I'd have to double check that. It was either up here or down here. We didn't allow you to do it, but we allow you to do it everywhere now. So you can set whether it's taxed or not. I think it was on the rental items. So of course, we use your default settings, but if for some reason you want to alter those, you can do that on a per lead basis, and that'll immediately factor into, well, if I do something that has tax, you see it immediately changes that. So, so that's how that works. We show your subtotal right here of your rental items just to give you that total. And then these are our additional line items that you can add: discounts, fees, coupons. If you click here, it's just going to add it. You can name it, you can put in the amount, and so forth. Same thing with coupons are slightly different in that you get a list of coupons that apply or may apply. So in this case, it doesn't like it. It says, no, this really shouldn't apply. There's no balance up there, so it really shouldn't. So, but I can still make it apply if I want. I can just ignore that. But here we have our subtotal like normal, our tax exemption right here. Again, you can see what's taxable and what's not. If you're looking at your tax and you don't think it's right, this is a good thing to check. We did this in the old system as well. That way you can kind of see, oh, this is why my tax isn't what I expect it to be. Down here we have your deposit information, where you can choose percentage or dollar amount. It is normally it's going to be set to however you had set up your defaults, but if you want to customize it, you click here and you can customize it to whatever you want and then save it. So we show the balance due here, and we'll show you positive or negative. And then if there's other things that apply, we have like a new thing that'll kind of do a profit calculation. If you want to take the time to set up operational costs for different things, or you're doing a lot of vendor stuff, you might want to look into that, and that'll actually show you a profit line down here. And that's just new out last release. So next section here is our payment section. In our payment section, and I'm going to try to speed up a little bit here just so we can get through everything. You can add your manual payments just the same as you used to be able to, and you can manipulate them as well. If you hover over this or click it, let's see here. This is the demo one, so it's not showing it. But if you have any sort of messages from your processor and you hover over this, it's going to show you those messages. Whatever you have set up for payment merchant accounts and stuff, we will show those across the top, and you can click the one you want to use to take a payment with to make that a little easier for you. Down here is our venue section. It should be somewhat similar to what we had before. We've tried to incorporate everything from before. Here we can copy addresses back and forth to, we can copy to the customer, and on the customer section, we can copy to the venue if you're going to use the same one. We have the map icons here, so if you want to load this map, if you're having address issues, this is kind of new. This will show you a map of the geolocation that we have listed. So if you're having an issue and you say, hey, this travel's not right, or something else, you can click on here and see what we have listed in our database as a geolocation. Sometimes those get messed up. If for some reason this address was not entered complete the first time, in most cases we try to not allow that to happen. But if it is wrong, you can click here. I want to force refresh on save, and then when you save it, it's going to refresh that geolocation. So it should fix the issue. Of course, here we have our notes area, our optional fields. So any optional fields you add On the leads page right now, we're forcing all optional fields into this optional fields section. Optional fields on other items like inventory, customers, and workers, you can actually pick the section you want those to show up in. But right now for leads, it has to be here in this section. And you can, of course, do different types of optional fields, checkboxes, dates, text, or long text, and so forth. Down here is our customer section, and we had someone ask about this just recently. So I hope you're there and you're listening. This is going to look very similar to what we had before. Basically, the type of customer, organization, their name and address, and so forth. This is an optional field. So this is a case where certain optional fields you can tie to a customer, right? And they'll show here on the leads as well. So that's why you see that. This OK to text, I don't think is in the old UI. I'm not positive on that, but because of all the rules that are coming forth and different laws on texting and spamming, we do have to track that now. So if a customer does require or request that they don't want to be texted, you can turn that off or turn it on and so forth. So that's something important. One of the things I don't think we went over when we were going through kind of how the Office Upgrade works is some of these little icons that you see on the side here of inputs. These are primarily links to do things. So this is a link in this case to the customer section. If I click it, it's going to want to take me to the customer section. I can just open in a new tab, and it's going to show me that customer real quick. Not something different than we offered before. This will do it for the organization if we have an organization set up for that with our new organization stuff. But here's these phone and these email ones, and we're going to cover more of this later. It'll open up the email bar, load in the email address. Same thing phone-wise. Open up the phone bar, load in the phone address, phone number. If for some reason you have a different phone number, that you want to save, that maybe you just recently called or came in, you can kind of do the opposite. It's going to prove me wrong. It should pull that information in. It's probably, I'm doing something wrong, but it should pull that information in from up on top. It might be because I didn't actually call it. So we don't show all the phone numbers unless you want them shown, so you can click the add more, phone or fax. Here we have tags. When you type in a tag, you need to use your enter or a comma to tell us that that's the end of the tag that you're typing. So if I hit enter, it's going to do it. Hit a comma, it's going to do that as well. So one thing that we're hoping to improve with that is to make it possible for it to search your existing tags so you don't have to remember all of them. So let's look at additional context. This is something new that we never did before. And I will say that it's not completed yet. So we're working toward making this work better. But you can click add additional contact or new additional contact. We also have a new billing contact. Honestly, I don't remember the difference between the two. We're hoping to make it so that you have different types that you can make that do different things. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and click new additional contact. You can see we have bill winners here, we have untitled here, and we can then go ahead and start typing it in. And so now we have two contacts on this lead. Now, these, like I said, are not completely integrated yet. So when it comes to searching for things, sometimes we are not searching on the additional contact and so forth. But we do give you a lot of functionality already. You can set up different types of emails that you want to go to them for this as being an additional contact. And when you're emailing out, let's see how this, I think that if I click up here to email, no, so we don't have that bringing both email addresses up yet either. So, but we're working through getting some of that stuff put together. At least this will help you keep track of things on a per lead basis, and we'll continue to improve that as we go. So the next section here on the leads is the CRM section. And if you're using CRM, this will probably make a lot of sense to you. Now this is, again, demo data. Obviously, this would make no sense for the lead to be created before all these other entries. So, this would normally be at the bottom of the list. But In here you can see all of your journal entries that you might have made, all the emails that Inflatable Office sent out. If you've connected us to your email through IMAP, we can show you all the emails that you sent out or the customer sent to you directly to your email address. So if you're not doing that and you have CRM, you should consider that. It's a pretty useful feature. The other thing you can do is you can filter on this. You can say, I just want to see phone stuff. So there's no phone stuff on this one. We'll also show phone stuff on here. And you can also type in here if you're searching for something. So if I type in just a keyword that I'm searching for, okay, here's my note on not ready, sign up, whatever that means. That's a pretty useful thing. Journal entries you can delete as an admin, you can delete them. I think as a worker, you can only delete the ones that you've made yourself, okay? You want to add a journal entry real quick, you can do that. It's going to set this up here so you can add a journal entry very quickly. We also have this last contact attempt and last customer action. What this means is this is the last time we tried to connect with them, and this is the last time they did something to connect with us. And again, we track all sorts of things like website visits. If you're using our website code, like we have some code you can put on your website so we can track that. We look at emails sent, phone calls, all sorts of different things, text messages. All that is looked at for the CRM, and that's really useful stuff. And we'll go through a little bit more of that when we get to session 4. So, but that's the CRM section. The contract section down here is going to be a little different than it was before. We've tried to continue to make this a little simpler to use. I know we still have a little bit more to do with it, and we have some tasks that we're working on right now to improve it. In general, what you're going to do when you're dealing with contracts is you're going to leave it checked like this, and that's how it's going to load. For a new one, you're going to pick your whatever template you want to use, which is generally your default one, and we'll pick it for you. And you really won't have to do anything to work with the customer. You'll just click here and you'll say, I want to send out a contract, and that's it. However, if you want to make edits to the contract, you click edit and you can change whatever you want in here. And then you can say, I want to add that contract, and it becomes the default active contract. You can also always disable a contract as well. So if you want to email a specific one, so let's say you're using contracts for other sort of documents that you want to send, you would look at this one here and you would say, okay, I want to email that specifically. And that's going to fix that link so that it's exactly that contract. If you wanted to just view it, you click it, and sure enough, we'll be able to view our contract. And if you wanted to delete it, of course you delete, but also if you want to edit it. So even after, so this one is a signed contract, so it's going to give you a special note here. So it's been signed already. When you are done editing, it's actually going to make a copy. We never allowed you to do that before. We always required you to start from scratch. But if you've made specific edits to a contract, you obviously can't edit something that's been signed, but we will let you do that. In this case, it's just that we make it as a new contract that they're going to have to sign again. Because obviously, if someone signs something, you can't then go in and change it because their signature would become invalid. So that's a new thing that we allow you to do. Here we have a purchase order section. If you're using our vendor stuff, this will be something that you'll use. And we're going to go over a little bit more of that again in session 4. We have our shifts area, our attachments, and with attachments here, one of the things that, I think I'll show it to you now. I was going to show it to you later, but I'm going to go ahead and just show this to you now because people have always asked about sending attachments in emails, and maybe we'll cover it in both places, but we don't have a way for you to attach a document. However, if you have an attachment on a lead, this is really simple to do. So I can just click here and say, I want to copy the image, and then I want to paste it in here. And then what I want to do is select here and I say, I want to copy the link's location. And then I'm going to go here and my image is selected and I'm going to insert a link and insert my link. And now I have a little thumbnail of what of my item so the customer can see the thumbnail. And then if you click on this, now when they click on it, it's going to go automatically. Since we're in this editor, it doesn't, but I can click this open link And sure enough, that's what my customer is going to be able to click and open when they get the email. So that is one way to send an attachment. Attachments these days are possible without emailing it in. You can still email it in with the lead ID to attachment@inflatableoffice.com. But you can also now just click add an attachment, and you can go to your computer and pick whatever you want to add. Okay, so it makes it a little easier. We use the name of the item, and you can see that's in as the placeholder. But if you want to override the name and say, this is the map to the location or something, you can title it whatever you want, or you probably would just say map. So if you want to be consistent, we're going to continue doing some work with attachments. We have some big plans for that, so keep your eyes out for that. Auto email section is a place where you can prevent sending or allow resending of auto emails. Our surveys section is where you'll see the surveys, and you can click them to actually go to the surveys, or you can and then take those links and send them to people if for some reason you need to. Once they've been completed, the results will be in here as well. So that's how that works. Very similar to the old, some of those sections. We have a new section here called recurring. So if you want to do a recurring lead, you can do that. In the case of people renting out long-term stuff, this has not been heavily used yet, I will say, but it is an available option for you now, and I'm sure once you all start using it, we'll get some more feedback on how to improve it. But you can set up how you want it to recur, and what this does, it actually creates an additional lead every so often. So I would say something like, I want every month I'm going to do this event, so I'm going to create this lead every month. I want it to create the lead 24 hours before it starts, and I want it to stop recurring at a certain date, or I want it to be indefinite. And the advantage to doing this is that it enables you to create separate, like, monthly invoices for a customer, and we actually will still track that it's unavailable. So if I put in if I don't put a date in here, its availability is forever. So that's always reserved basically for that customer. So we have some people doing restrooms, trailers, and stuff like that. I think that I found this useful, or we were trying to make it for them at least. So we can decide if we want to copy shifts or not. And then we can also decide what items are actually recurring. So we may say, yeah, well, not all of these are going to be recurring, maybe just a couple things. And we can alter some of the data on them. So if we want to give them a discount on the recurring part of it, maybe the first part we charged them, $300, and now we only want to charge them, $275 or something like that. We can do that. And so all recurring ones would be that. Same with our fees and discounts. We can go through and mark which ones are included in that recurring part. And then we show some totals down here just so you have a quick idea of what that recurring bill is going to be comparatively. So the last section here on the leads, as most items, would be the log. So the log has undergone a lot of changes, and we'll probably be continuing to improve and change this. So we're in some of these cases you're seeing old log information, and some you're seeing new. But if you look here, this is like the new style of log, where you're going to be able to click on these and get more information. Not very exciting there. But some of them, as you're really using it, not in a demo account, you'll probably see some more exciting information inside of there. It's going to show you everything that was changed in that one transaction. You can also search the log. You can say, I just want to see wind alerts, which we've removed unless you ask for them. They'll show them in here, but we don't show them by default. I just want to see emails, so we can just see emails. And then we can remove that filter if we want. We can also pick a date range if we just want to look at a certain date range. And then we can even export the log. Anything that we filtered here with the log, we can export. So if you're troubleshooting something, or if you're trying to deal with an employee that possibly is doing something they shouldn't, you may want to filter through here and then export it and confront them, or educate them on what they should or shouldn't be doing. So that's all not possible for you to do without our intervention. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So that is in a nutshell, and I'm going to look at my notes here just to make sure I didn't miss anything. That's in a nutshell everything that we offer when it comes to leads and the things that you might need to know as we transition over. I think we talked a little bit about, and I probably should cover it again. We talked a little bit about the update and recalculate and how we've removed that from the process. And the intent there is to make it a little more of an automatic thing for you. Whereas if you're making changes to the lead, we should be able to detect what potentially might need changed and alert you with these messages. And not just so that you have to go and then change it, but you can actually just click here and it'll do the change for you. I don't know if you saw it do that, but it'll just do it immediately. So that is the point of, that is what we've decided is going to be a lot easier, because a lot of people are forgetting to recalculate or not knowing when to recalculate and forgetting to update and check it. So we're going to check that stuff for you. We're going to give you those messages, and then you can deal with that as you see fit. So that's one of the major changes to a lead. There are a few things when you're adding a new lead that are unavailable. So let me close out of this. If we're going to add a new lead, things like attachments are not available until you save first. So same thing if you wanted to do a snapshot of a contract, not available. Although, like I said before, primarily 90% of the time you probably shouldn't be doing snapshots, because especially now that we give you the option to put notes on line items, and you've always had the option to add notes on the venue or about the event, those can transfer into your contract. So you shouldn't really have to really edit your contract too much and do a snapshot, but it's still an option if you want to. But just wanted to let you know there are a few things that are unavailable until you've saved it the first time.